Hi guys, in today's video we'll be looking at a new type of project called a class library. Class libraries are really useful for keeping your code organized. So let's jump into Visual Studio and take a look. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that I'm doing a new C# video every day. So if you don't want to miss those, be sure to subscribe. So continuing on from yesterday, we have our solution and we have multiple projects in our solution. And what we will do now is add a new type of project. So we'll click Add, New Project. And this time we're going to add something called a class library. And there's lots of different types of class library you can add. What we're looking for is a class library .NET Framework C#. Click Next. And we'll call this one, we'll follow our naming convention, so we'll call it multiple project test .library. And we'll click Create. So you can see what we have here is our class library project, and we have a class called class1, which is created for us for free. Now the difference between a class library and other types of project is that a class library can't actually run on its own. A class library, the purpose of it is to be referenced by other projects, which allows you to share code between other projects in your solution. So what we might find is that we will delete this class 1 and we will add our own class, and we'll call this one person. And we'll just flesh out some properties on person quickly. So we'll just have a public string name. And we'll have an integer of age. Something simple like that. So let's say we now want to use this person object in our console app and in our Windows app. Previously, if we created the person in one of these projects, we wouldn't be to access it from the other project. And the class library solves that problem. So what we can do in our other two projects is we can go to references and we can click add. And we can add a reference to our library. So we'll just add a reference there. You'll notice I've typoed the name, but just ignore that. So now in our Windows Forms app, if we just open up this form and let's just double click on it to get a form handler. And we'll be able to say var person equals new person. And you can see here it's pulling that in from the multiple project tests.library. And we have our person class. And equally, if we wanted to have our person class in our console app, we just right click on references again, click add reference, and then we reference the library project that we've created, click OK. And then in our console app, we can do the same again. We can say var person equals new person. As you can see, we're starting to build up a sort of separation of concerns. We've got our library where we build all of our sort of cross-platform or cross-solution logic and objects and classes, and then we can consume that library from our console application or our Windows Forms application, or maybe even a web application if we added one, or a mobile application for iOS and Android. And this is particularly useful for situations where you might have multiple apps off of the same sort of real world project. Like you might be making a company directory, for example, and you might need a Windows app for the guys that are using Windows. You might need a Mac app for the guys using a Mac. You might also have a web version. So you would want to have as much of that code as possible be reusable across all of those different projects. So that's why you would create all of that code in a library, and then you'd reference it in your specific applications. And in our case here, we've obviously got our console app for our more advanced users, and we've got our Windows Forms app for the everyday standard sort of Windows users. And that's the basics of class libraries and when you might want to use them. I find it's always useful to plan ahead and just think about separating out all of your classes and, you know, maybe your data access and your logic into their own libraries, and then have the Windows Forms project or the console project be specifically about user interaction and user interface. Hi, I hope you found that video useful. If you have any comments or feedback, then please leave me a comment below. I'm currently doing new videos every single day, so if you'd like to be notified about those, then hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.